And encourage your friends, if you have some international ones, to tune in from different areas so we can continue to play our game. Has Lonnie been there?
We're still anxious to hear from New Zealand and what these flights meant to the island, and just how alive his memory is with Music Point, and I think there's a monument and a radio station and all sorts of groups. So we really haven't heard from New Zealand on this.
No New Zealanders on right now. We do have Australians though.
What are the sections of New Zealand called? Are they territories? New South Wales is a what? Province? Territory?
Province?
Queensland? I loved working in Australia. Great people. Delicious beer.
Oh, nope, it's a state.
They're states?
Yep.
New South Wales is a state?
Yep, it's a state.
Is Queensland a state? I guess they all
yes.
are, huh?
Yep, it borders Queensland to the north.
You know, it's interesting that this wasn't the first time that Captain Music had flown with 3 engines. On his pioneering flight to New Zealand in 37, his plane, upon arrival in Honolulu, had 1 motor idle as a result.
Had he ever had to
oil
do
trouble? So
was that also an S-42?
Yes, and I believe, yes, it was the pioneering flight.
Had
he said
ever
it
had
proved the value. Sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
He said it proved the value of multi-motored planes for transocean service.
Among Alaskan bush pilots, there's just 2 camps, single engine and dual engine.
Single engine what and what?
Single pilots who prefer single engine versus pilots who prefer dual engine.
Oh,
and the single.
I actually like single engine because you can become a glider.
Right, and the single engine pilots argue that a dual engine aircraft, if one of the engine fails, the bad engine will follow the good engine to the scene of the crash.
Well, it's hard. Yeah.
So what was your question, Brian?
Do we know if Mr. Music had ever had to do any other emergency landings or ditch or anything like that? Was he experienced in having to... It sounds like he knew how to do pretty much everything.
I know he had a problem with that engine number 4, but it was some rivets were shorn off. All 4 engines were brand new from Pratt & Whitney when they were installed, and not one had reached the 450-hour mark for service. Although they were continually serviced, but I mean not for engine overhaul.
But unlike other planes that he may have flown.
Is this what we're looking for here, this target?
This is 51 again.
Yeah, been here before.
This is the strange rock. Well, the big rock with the little depression looking thing in front of it that turned out to be a rock.
The raised depression?
Yep, pretty much.
Brian, I don't know of other incidences.
Yeah.
I'm glad that we fully mapped this rock, though.
Nobody knows this rock better than us.
Step 50 meters, bearing 230.
The question that's coming in, this is the search for the Simone Clipper, the missing aircraft. We are continuing to do our best to try and locate it, but it has not been seen in 81 years. So it's not something we can just hop on the island and ask everybody about.
Way to wait 80 years for this technology to be developed.
Yep. Even when they wanted to potentially recover the Simone Clipper using a cable ship, the depth that they thought that the area was actually a multitude of several thousand meters, feet deeper than what it actually was.
And they couldn't even get to that depth.
Yep. They thought it, I believe, was about 6,000, and it's more like 10,000 feet deep.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't use decimal ladder long back then, so this isn't a conversion error.
They use degrees, minutes, seconds.
Yeah.
Is that your question?
I was just trying to figure out, where maybe an error might have been introduced into their lat long. And nowadays, those errors can be introduced when we switch between one of the several modes of recording lat long. But they didn't do that back then. It was all consistent.
My guess on the source of error is the source of the coordinates. Since we don't know the origin, seems like it still could have been part of a guessing game.
Or it could have been that somebody had the 12-mile mark and they had the land reference, so they just measured 12 miles out from there.
Yeah.
Just because the report wanted to have an absolute number. I don't know.
I don't know. The mystery continues.
Yeah. It's even more of a mystery now.
Enigma.
Yeah.
Question coming in about, were they accurately able to measure latitude and longitude back then? And
Yep.
yeah, they were.
Captain Cook was able to do that in the 1790s. Mariners were able to do that in the 1790s, in the 1800s.
Yeah.
1930, definitely.
There's a great book about that,
The chronograph?
about the contest to establish, because it was with time.
Yeah.
To establish a method.
Yeah, mankind became very educated about how to locate where we were on the planet and where the planet was in space. In not a relatively short period of time, but in terms of planetary history is short, but human history, pretty short. Captain Cook's first mission was to go to Tahiti and establish a camp with scientists to observe the transit of Venus across the sun. And that information, while collected from several places around the planet, would help us determine how far the Earth was from the sun. So we were sorting all that out in the 1700s.
Mm-hmm.
Although he wasn't actually a captain then, but that's another topic. We do have a captain in this story. We just don't know where he is.
Not yet, at least. Question for Dr. Megan. Do you by any chance know what the oldest airplane wreck may have been? Underwater airplane wreck.
Well, all right. So that's I'm going to give you a two-part answer. For
Wonderful.
the first part, there have been extremely old airplane wrecks underwater, but that doesn't mean that we have found them. So your earliest airplanes would have been made out of wood with a ferrous material engine, so steel engine parts, other metals for your engine parts, with wood propellers, fabric covered wood, and then fabric covered maybe steel components later on, but that will pretty much deteriorate past the point in which we can find anything in water, unless we were just looking for an engine. So if somebody stumbled across an engine of an extremely old aircraft, then that would be the oldest site that we found underwater. But since nobody has, currently the oldest aircraft remains that we found underwater are 1935. The wreckage was 1935. The construction of the airplanes were 1933. And those are the F9C or FC-92 Sparrowhawk biplanes on the USS Macon airship off the coast of California at around 500 meters, around 1,450 feet. And those were aluminum frame aircraft with a doped canvas covering, wooden propellers, and a little trapeze hook made out of steel. No, I'm sorry, it was cast aluminum. Never mind.
How deep was the monitor?
It's a good question that I don't know the answer to.
There are 3 bodies recovered.
In the turret?
In the turret.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just wondering how deep it was.
I don't know, actually. Keep them coming.
Yep.
That was a fun question. I'll answer more.
The depth is 240 feet.
240 feet.
For the monitor.
Yes.
Argus maintains its orientation because it has thrusters to help it do that.
So if we were to find this aircraft, this would actually be the second oldest aircraft remains that we'd ever found.
Nice.
Where is this thing? $101 hours looking. Oh, plus the other dive.
Oh, actually, you know what? That's not true. There's been an S-40 found. Or an S-38? Which one was it? One of the other Sikorsky aircraft of this time has also been found, so that would be the second oldest. This would be the third oldest.
Where was that one found?
That's a good question, Ed.
Yeah. Didn't mean to throw a stumper to you at the end of the watch, sorry.
It was found underwater.
There we go. That's what I thought. Hey, I'll bet you I know where you got your shoes.
From a
You
shoe
got them on your
store?
feet.
Oh. I like it.
We're gonna finish exploring this potential target and then head over to some of our shorter lines to make sure we know everything in the area that's important.
So back row, here we are around T31.
Mm-hmm.
Are we seeing anything we like in the mezzo?
There's that one little tiny thing to like the southwest in the mezzo, whatever direction that is.
So that will be
Actually-
135. That's actually here.
Oh, that's over there?
Yeah.
It's not big enough for me to really care about it anyways, if I'm not being too harsh.
Yeah, I kind of would agree with that.
So if we want to call it, I'm comfortable doing that.
I agree.
But I can say, what do you think? If you want me to.
I agree. I think that we've seen the targets in the area and kind of confirm that they're rocks.
Let's motor.
Okay.
Concur.
I concur.
I'm fairly
Dr.
certain that was a
Magan.
good choice.
Bridge nav. Can we proceed to the selected target? Thank you.
Dr. Megan, another question coming in about how many expeditions would you say that you've been on? That you went
Ooh.
out to explore and then you didn't find it.
And then we didn't find it?
Yes.
1, 2, 3. Three such expeditions I have been on. So it's
Mhm.
more common than we would like. But I mean, there's a variety of reasons for,
Mm-hmm.
on one of those expeditions where we were looking for an aircraft, it was supposed to be in extremely shallow water. It was a B-25 that was off the coast of Italy. Was supposed to have sunk very much intact.
Mm-hmm.
And what we found when we got there was that actually the entire area had been subject to pretty heavy trawling. And actually somebody, one of the fishermen in the area who had advocated for responsible fishing practices, had actually put out a series of net grabbers, like big giant mooring blocks with these horrible hooks everywhere. And they would kind of grab any nets that any trawlers would go down there. So we pretty much found, well, what we concluded was that basically the aircraft that we were looking for was long gone through no fault of positioning error or anything like that, or faulty research, anything like that. It was simply that the trawlers had probably gotten it, or somebody had probably netted it, and it was in a trash dump somewhere. So fishermen, sometimes when they net aircraft or other large objects, they take them to a specific favorite dumping ground and put them there so that they're out of the way. They're not navigation hazards, they're not fishing hazards, and there probably exist these dumping grounds. They certainly exist off the coast of England. They exist in Italy, where I'm sure a bunch of aircraft remains are actually from World War II. So that was an interesting one. And unfortunately, we just had to say, look, it's not here anymore.
Yeah.
There's no way that it's here anymore. So we were able to definitively say that we did our due diligence. We searched the area. We knew that it should be there. There's no reason why it wouldn't be there except for human interaction. So that was our conclusion.
Makes sense.
Yeah. And just talking about that, the aircraft, old aircraft sites before, it was a Sikorsky S-38, 1935 construction, and it would have been found off the coast of Indonesia.
Pretty far out there.
Pretty far out there.
Good evening.
Oh, all right. I need air. Right. No, that's
Another question coming in for Dr. Megan. What is one of the most unusual things you have seen while on expedition?
Unusual things I've seen on
Yeah, it doesn't have to be an
expedition?
archaeological thing. Just weirdest thing you've seen while you're out there.
Well, I've seen an airplane underwater, I'll tell you what. That's pretty weird.
Pretty weird.
Let's see. Gosh. I don't know. It's going to make my expedition sound pretty
Illegal.
boring. I don't think I've seen anything that was just really weird. Really weird rocks. Seen on this one. We went out. I've got a funny story. Maybe that. It's not really weird, but it's a good story.
We'll take it.
We were out on a ship, on a research vessel in the South Pacific, and we were invited by our crew to go out on a skiff and basically follow these clouds of birds around and hand fish with pieces of tinfoil. And that was the most fun that I've had in a long time.
Did you catch anything?
Yeah, we did. They were jumping into the boat. All we had to do was basically throw this piece of tinfoil over the side with a hook and then bring it straight back up. One of the funny things, though, is that we were catching barracuda, and when those come in the boat, that's quite scary. And they come in like mouth first, and then they're chomping around your ankles and stuff, and it's not a fun time when you're in a skiff and you already have 2 other barracuda in the boat and you don't want any more. So
that sounds like an adventure.
I know, it was pretty fun.
A lot of barracuda.
Awesome. And then, so immediately when we got back to the research vessel with our catch, our crew cut them and we ate them, and it was good.
How does barracuda taste?
I didn't eat any of the barracuda. Sorry, I wasn't that adventurous. I did eat the rainbow runner that we caught, and I think that we caught a tuna as well. Very small one. But those were yummy.
We had mahi-mahi off the side of the boat.
I know. I was going
Earlier.
to ask if we were going to catch any of those. Why not?
I don't know.
Let's catch them. Eat them. All right, Megan signing off.
Good night, Megan.
Not worried about it. Hello, Buzz and Maine. Thanks for tuning in. Hello.
Yeah, so I got up at midnight thinking they were going to be on those targets then. They weren't. So I got up at 1, then I got up at 2, then they were on them, and I stayed up till 3, and then I went back to bed, and then I got up. So that was a fun night.
So you're super awake right now?
That's
Oh,
brutal.
yeah. Well, they said they'd come get me when they were, and I was like, oh, no, it's okay, I'll set an alarm. So that was a mistake.
So, are we working our way towards a new line?
Yeah, we're now moving up to the last of the western lines. I had Rennie put in a third one because otherwise you'd have ended up back to the north, which wasn't helpful. So we're going to do these 3 lines and then do southern lines.
Yeah, we've changed ship heading, so now we're starting to track our line.
Cool.
Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
Good morning.
Welcome to
Morning.
the 4 to 8 shift.
We're going to go back over the dinosaur head.
Yep.
Do we have a dinosaur head?
Yeah. in the contours. That or an evil duck. I'm not sure which.
If you turn your head the other way, it kind of looks like an orca.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
that's
yeah.
true. For our audience following us, you can see the quad. It's more or less in the middle of the screen on the left, on the last image.
If you see it, you see it.
Do you get to see it?
Maybe it's an orca eating a dinosaur.
Maybe. Yeah, I can definitely say last night was not the best sleep I've gotten either. And that's 2 nights in a row.
Oh, I've just
And
been getting worse
adding
and more
up.
sleep on this watch.
yeah, it keeps adding up, and then this watch is just early, and every time my alarm goes off, I just think it's some sick joke.
That's because it is.
Yeah. But then I'm up here for a while, and we got coffee beans, and it's okay, but I'm going to need a solid nap after.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's kind of a vicious cycle, because if you don't sleep well one night, then you start napping, then you're less tired the next night.
Mm-hmm.
Until you're just sleeping on the opposite.
Until you're sleeping during the day. And
yeah. I used to do the 48 shift without napping during the day, and I can't do that anymore. It's not going to happen. I think I actually sleep. I don't sleep longer, but I sleep better in the after watch in the morning than I do at night.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I've gone hard over that way. I'm sleeping like a lot on that part, and then not at night at all. Need a reset.
That reset is my 29 hours to get back to Connecticut.
Oh yeah, that'll be. That's not a reset. That's just a totally messing you up.
Pleasant trip.
I think that's a. I think
That's
that's
like
a.
your clock being off a little bit, so you throw it down the stairs hoping it fixes it.
Exactly.
And it at least stops ticking.
I think that's a bingo square. Chris says
Is
bingo square. When he talks
He didn't
about
just say bingo square. He threw a clock
Wait.
downstairs.
no.
I'm confused.
One of them was talk about the flight schedule route.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh. I'm sure right now Chris is thinking, I can't say anything.
I'm tired.
Oh.
So, those of us watching us have been asking about our targets quite a bit. So a little while ago, we did go over 2 of the targets that we thought were interesting, just to see what they were. We didn't think that they were likely to be wreckage from the aircraft because there was nothing else around it, and we're expecting a debris field. But we did, because they looked bizarre, we did want to at least target check a couple things and ground truth them. So we did that, and lo and behold, they turned out to be rocks. So we did spend some time checking targets, but it turned out to be the very common thing that we're seeing on the seabed. So that's the report on that.
Yeah, thanks for that.
Any
There are people asking about it.
targets get dropped in the line we did?
Let me look.
I don't have any new targets, but...
Nope, no new targets.
Roger that.
So we're sitting at 60.
Cool.
I feel like we've been one of the only watches that's added any targets.
Because we're good like that.
Well, some of the ones I've added, I've just been like, why not?
Yeah, well, that's how we ended up with target 56.
That's true.
Someone would take your spot gladly today, Chris.
Oh, I'm 100% sure they would. And I'm not giving up my spot. I would rather do this tired than have a full night of sleep and be wasting my day somewhere else.
Yes. And Buzz in Maine says hi to Mike and Wendy.
Oh, hey, Buzz.
What? Oh, yeah, hi Buzz. Sorry, I didn't hear you very well.
Caught Wendy sleeping.
So Chris is not the only one.
She's, I don't know. People are really quiet this morning.
Yeah.
No, we're not.
Have we looked at the propeller blade target yet? No, right?
The one that had the 3 things sticking
Aha.
up, that's what we looked at a few hours ago.
Oh, you did?
Yep.
Oh,
I might be able to pull up the capture images on my screen in a couple minutes once they get loaded through the system.
Cool. And what about 30 and 31?
That was 30.
Oh, that was 31.
Yeah.
Oh,
And 31 is right next to it.
okay. And if we found treasures with valuable stuff, we would leave them there and just document them. That's the plan, right?
Correct.
What is the weirdest, oh no, what is the oldest ship that you have searched for and found, Mike?
So early on with Nautilus, we did a lot of work in the Mediterranean and Black Sea. So we found one in the southern Black Sea that dated to about 325 BC.
What? Really?
Yeah, ancient Greek.
Wow, that's cool. Was the wood still like?
Some of it was. It wasn't in the anoxic zone, which is where the wood is very well preserved. But some of it had been well preserved under the mud, and then a trawler had hit it, so some of that wood had been ripped up. So we got to see that it was made actually with both sewn planks and mortise and tenon joinery, which are two shipbuilding construction techniques that were thought to have been separate, but were actually both used on this ship.
Wow. Here we have someone from Nigeria. Welcome to our channel.
It's a good distance away.
I've been clicking my mouse a lot. Oh.
So yeah, you're right. In the camera we can see just rocks mainly. Thing is that our side skin sonar. I'm sorry, I can't even speak English right now. So the side skin sonar has a blind spot, so the camera would help us to compensate a little bit for that blind spot. So that's why we have it there.
Argus seems to pretty much be tracking behind us now. We're headed 284, depending on how you want to adjust. Wendy.
Yeah. We were pretty close to that heading anyway, but we can be a little more on it.
Or should I route it through your assistant first?
That's okay.
Hey, Mike, can you tell Wendy that we're headed 284 if she wants to adjust her heading?
Okay, hold on. Go on 284.
Yep.
All right. Yeah, she's doing it.
Okay, that's good.
All right. You don't need headsets.
You have to talk to her assistant. She won't acknowledge. Wow.
Apparently.
Too many more.
That's just the proper chain of command.
I got it. Okay, that's smart to follow.
So if we were to send a GoPro, would it work at that depth? I don't think so.
Hey, what?
If we send a GoPro down there.
I mean, it would be fine as long as you had a housing that could withstand that depth.
Exactly.
Yeah, we actually have one specifically for this cruise. We haven't gotten a chance to show it off for you guys that just got on board, but we got some really cool photos. Yeah, the housing is specially made to withstand the pressure. Not something you can go buy for your homemade GoPro and or you know what I mean.
They also probably couldn't get to this depth either.
Yeah, I mean,
we need to remember
it's not easy.
A boat and a rock, but you wouldn't be getting it back.
Yeah, exactly. You could go film it once, just
not get the
wouldn't
data.
get the footage.
Yeah, but yeah, no. It's from Woods Hole Oceanographic Institute, and it's just we set it for, I believe, a photo every 10 seconds. It's got an extra battery pack and memory storage, so we actually got photos throughout like our entire dives, up to like 18 to 24 hours.
We had one of those GoPros on Herc one time that was doing that, and the Herc pilot put the arm up to keep it out of the way, and we got like 300 pictures of the arm.
Oh my god.
Nice.
That's so frustrating.
We put it on the front porch, so.
Yeah, I think we moved it after that dive.
It was good.
It was on the arm again, like all season. We just put it on.
Well, they had mounted it like on the frame behind Mongo.
Oh yeah.
Oh, and they moved the arm.
And then they moved the arm up like this to get it out of the way, and
I misjudged it, I guess.
Yeah, it's a tough one. It's always lived in a bad spot. Still in a bad spot.
But yeah, no, you can't, unless you got a couple $1,000 to shell out, you can't buy a housing that is good to these depths. A couple $1,000 or you're a really good engineer with the materials yourself.
Go ahead.
Do we know why we don't have much life in these waters? I would say that has to do with currents and not much upwelling or not much productivity.
Biologist? Becca, any thoughts?
No, not really. There's not a lot of hard substrate for more corals and sponges to land on, which helps attract other organisms to the area. But in terms of like why this area has less fauna than like the other area of the grid, I don't know. I don't know if it's location or current-wise or time of day. Could be a lot of factors, but yeah, there's definitely less fauna in this area than it has as opposed to like day 1 or 2 of the dive.
Absolutely.
We all are also missing a lot. All the smaller stuff that we wouldn't be able to see unless we were on the bottom.
Yeah, when we were transiting over to look at those targets off to the side of the ship, there were some mahi-mahi and white-tip oceanic sharks.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, George had pointed them out from the bridge and told us about them.
I should have come up. I was probably awake anyways. So this is the area around this raised point here where they start to get a little bit more of a current.
Oh, yeah, they got some current around this knoll. Yeah, so we need to be careful of that.
Yeah. I'm also just realizing they changed the symbol for Argus. It now has a circle around it.
Oh yeah, look at that.
Were they trying to maybe guesstimate what their like field of view was? Although that circle looks pretty big for that.
Yeah, no, I think maybe they were just trying to see it because they had so much USBL pings.
Oh, probably.
It was covering it up.
So after you guys got off watch in my extra hour, I learned what golden sounding was.
Oh,
Yeah.
awesome.
We learn?
I thought we knew what that was.
Yeah. Rebecca
Well,
looked it up.
Well, what did you learn?
Yeah,
where was
tell
I?
us about it.
I don't know where you were.
Were you looking at the sunset?
Or the storm cloud? That was only like a few seconds though.
Yeah. Huh.
I'm glad the storm cloud didn't come swallow us. Anyway, what did you learn?
Well, I learned that it was a setting where you could give priority to certain soundings in HIPAC, so they always kind of appear on the top layer.
Yeah, that's what Rebecca found out. Thank you, though. Appreciated.
Glad we have the same conclusion.
Yeah, it's always good to concur.
Did someone ask, or how did you
I
find
just
it?
asked Miles.
Yeah.
he didn't know, and Trevor didn't know, so we ended up looking it up in the
yeah, that's what Rebecca
in the
did.
software.
If Miles doesn't know, it's funny that it's even in HIPAC as a layer. Someone put it there.
Yeah, I don't. There's a lot about this program that is.
Yeah, it's bizarre.
Mystical.
Mystical.
We dare not touch it and anger it.
Yeah, right.
I love when Maddie calls it, the SCF on their watch calls it HPAC.
HPAC.
And no one corrects her.
No one corrects.
Oh, because she doesn't know? That's really funny.
I think because it's like, that's the name on the switcher, isn't it?
Oh, because they had to
KVM.
shorten the name.
Yeah.
I mean, there's definitely a Y.
Oh yeah. Maybe
Oh, yeah.
on this one over here, does it say HPAC?
Well, yeah, my buttons here say hype plan and hype survey.
Yeah.
Hype.
That'd
Yeah,
be
I
funnier
see it
if
over
she
there.
called
I
it.
don't see that.
If you guys look on the hype map.
Oh well.
Oh, we're right over the dinosaur head now.
With
yeah,
the ship.
the ship is.
Oh, yeah, the ship is, sorry.
I'm gonna
Well, that's
start-
us. That's we, right? We're on
That
the
is,
ship.
Yeah.
that is us.
Oh yeah. So does the day and night cycle affect the deep sea? Well,
That's a good question.
that's a good question.
Yes.
Yep.
I
Especially
guess-
like moon and tidal.
Mhm.
There's a lot of small organisms, planktons and such, that have DVM, deal vertical migration, which means they'll move up and down throughout the water column, depending on the time of day. So during like daylight, a lot of them will go further down real deep where it's really cold and it's easier for them to conserve energy. And they get away from predators that would use the light to hunt. And then at night, when they have a lower risk of being seen and it's not as warm on the surface, they'll go back up to feed.
But in terms of light, the bottom is just an endless night, right?
Yes, we are in what you would call the aphotic zone, or no light. So at no point does any sunlight reach these depths. Only bioluminescence.
Only Argus light.
And Argus light. A lot of the stuff down here doesn't even have eyes or eyes that work.
Has it happened at some point that something got like wrapped in Argus or Hercules without us knowing or wanting?
I mean, we try to avoid being tangled in any line or anything like that that we find.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
It has happened on 1 or 2 occasions that I know of, and you usually have to untangle yourself.
Yeah, there were 2 instances that I know of. One was off of Spain in the Mediterranean. Herc got caught up in all sorts of, it was like lines connected to other lines, and there were hooks and bricks and weights all over it. So Herc came up, and it was, and we had to like haul in a lot of it by hand, and then like use knives to cut it free. We were wearing like really thick gloves, so the hooks didn't get us. But and then we tried to haul in as much as we could just to get it out of the water once Herc got free. But there were like weights and bricks and stuff attached to it, so it was pretty difficult. The other time was off the Channel Island. No, off the Santa Barbara Islands, Catalina Island. Anyway, Southern California, and we were near the island, and we got snagged in
or like a crab pot or something,
crab
right?
pot, and Bob Waters actually managed to use the Herc arm to unclip the carabiner that was holding the weight onto it, and we floated free after he did that. It was quite amazing.
Some technical proficiency.
Yeah.
Yeah, we started carrying a knife on the vehicle after that, so we could cut lines if we ever got tangled in them. But we have also gotten covered in like siphonophores and stuff.
Yeah.
We've had an octopus come up on Hercules one time.
Oh, that's cute. He wanted a ride.
Yay.
Yeah. Luckily, we found him early enough and could get him back in the water.
Oh, he came up all the way on him.
He came up all the way. We found him when we put it on deck. He was